OPEC says they are going to stop 2 million barrels of oil a day. In other words, there is a lot of oil supply, like I've been talking about for the longest time, but they are going to purposefully create a scarcity in order to drop oil prices. Let me tell you a secret, guys. I really don't mind them doing that, because what we really want is for Americans to use less oil. And if raising the price of oil a little bit is going to cause us to burn less oil and put more carbon in the air, it is great. But it's beyond that. The point is, this is extortion. Let me just play the piece from MSNBC, and then we'll go ahead and move on from there. But I want you to see this, that an organization, a cartel, with the appeasement of our own American companies, will take 2 million barrels of oil off of the market. Check this out.
Republicans today out with a new line of attack against President Biden after the country is responsible for most of the world's oil production decided to slow things down in a big way. One of those Republicans, House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, saying that the group of countries known as OPEC are, in his words, laughing at the president after they cut production by 2 million barrels a day. The OPEC Plus group of around 24 countries, including Russia, now hoping the move will drive oil prices up after they've been falling for months. The Biden administration, had been trying to convince them not to make this move, something that evidently did not work. Now, with prices again on the rise, that talking point about lower gas prices here at home, and they had been lower, might be off the table. I want to bring in NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell and NBC News business and data reporter Brian Chung. So, Brian, this is a move that is very clear. It is essentially shots fired at the West, basically. It is also meant to very much drive up gas prices. When are Americans here going to start to see the impact?
That is exactly what's expected, Hallie, for gas prices to go up. And you have some estimates, like from Patrick DeHaan over at Gas Buddy, warning that this could raise the price of gasoline by about 15 to 30 cents a gallon. If you take a look at where we're at right now, about $3.83 at a national average, that would imply you could see prices above $4 very soon. Now, these cuts won't be taking place until November, so it might be some time before you feel that. And of course, the prices that you pay at the pump are going to be different depending on what region you're at in the country. But of course, this presents a pretty big political conundrum for the Biden administration, which has wanted to keep prices low through the midterms. Now, of course, whether or not that happens remains on how market pricing happens and unfolds over the next few weeks. But nonetheless, the White House saying that this is a mistake and misguided from the OPEC nations.
So that tees us up nicely for Kelly O'Donnell. The reaction, obviously, from the Biden administration. The White House, Kelly, didn't want this to happen, tried to apparently get it to not happen. It did. Talk about the potential political dangers here, and what, if anything, they can do to try to counteract this.
Well, the White House has chosen its words carefully, and they're muted. They say the president is disappointed in this short-sighted decision. That is certainly the kind of thing that would come off as rather tepid on the surface. It obviously carries much more weight internally for the political ramifications rolling into the midterms, where gas prices have been a very volatile issue, and one where this White House has seen a steady decline, almost a daily decline for weeks. Something where they've been able to kind of pull the reins back on inflation. Other products have continued to go up in price. Gas prices have stabilized, and that is something that the Biden White House has tried to tout. They also, of course, are concerned about this because they believe that this is unstable for the global economy, and very much point the finger of blame quietly at Russia. Russia, of course, with the Ukraine war, that they are trying to put this pressure on the West with the political volatility that exists there, and to create much more sort of volatility in the marketplace globally, which of course then affects American consumers. One of the responses from the Biden White House is to increase the available supply from the strategic petroleum reserve that the U.S. maintains. And so there will be an additional release to try to offset that change to what is available on the marketplace. And they say they want to talk to Congress about trying to make other changes, and kind of big picture talking about how this is another sign that the U.S. needs to be as energy independent as possible. The timing isn't good. The political ramifications are not good. It's a sign of the tense sort of battle between the U.S. and Russia, and the fragile relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia as well.
All right. First, to the Republicans, you can't have it both ways. You can't claim that Oil is on an international market. It's the market dictates, which means it doesn't matter if we have more drilling in the United States. All of that oil ends up on the market. If OPEC cuts oil and cuts the amount of oil they're going to produce per day, and we increase the amount, I mean, it is all going into one huge market because that is what we've allowed. America is already self-sufficient if it chose to nationalize its oil industry, and it could work that way. But we won't do that. We're going to stay on the international system where we allow the markets to run. But let's forget about that for now. You can't have it both ways. Now, here is the deal. This should be impetus for all Democrats to go out there and talk about this is why we need to go into overdrive and talk about renewable energies completely and entirely independent from oil, from fossil fuels. They want to create false shortages. The prices aren't going up because we have a shortage of oil. These are corporations that are saying, you know what? We are going to screw the people of America. We are going to screw the people of the world. We are going to try to have an impact on an election. We are going to force a price increase. We are going to steal your money. Remember, that's what they're saying here. There is no shortage. They are creating the shortage. And if we blame, let's say, a Biden for, oh, look at what you're allowed, it's not true. Blame where the blame belongs. Corporations in a market, in a failed market of oil, right? A cartel that controls the volume of oil, not based on how much you can produce or how much is needed on the market, but how much we are going to allow prices to rise because we have pricing power. Note at Politics Done Right, we talk about this failed economy for several reasons. Things that are of necessity to Americans, necessity to people of the world should never fall into this marketplace where we can have charlatanes, where we can have thugs, where we can have immoral folks decide we are going to suck all the money that we can out of the people, out of middle class, out of the poor, because we can. We control the price of oil, and therefore we will tell you when those prices are going to be high or not. No, it's time to get at them. It is time to nationalize the oil industry. We make enough oil here in the United States to be self-sufficient. We can start, if we started nationalizing our own oil industry and then other countries start to do the same, they will protect the citizens and not have a false, fraudulent market that decide they will rip you off. They will take your money away. People, don't fall for the crap. This isn't a supply and demand issue. This is a pricing power issue. This is a corporate structure controlling a market issue. This has nothing to do with the Biden administration. This has nothing to do with any Republican administration. This has to do with a fraudulent economic system that allows the corporations who have pricing power to rip you off. If you blame the right people, we can come to the right conclusions. If you allow yourself to be dummified by those who are attempting to use the extortion by corporations to work, and again, I mean those words, if you allow the extortion by corporations to work, it's on us. Let's not do it. Let's immediately do what's necessary so that we can take control of our own personal economies. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.